and / are commented. As you see here, for example, for data types, it is commented, so it doesn't have any problem for the code and the compiler. Let's start from the line 1. This is the default include that we consider for the C++, and we include this one for considering a string in our code. But just by default, consider these two including parts. Later on the course, I would discuss different including things that we can consider and why they are important. But this is not the point of our lecture today. So these two includes are now working. The rest are commented as there are 2 slashes behind them. Typical C++ programming would have like a few lines for including lines and then one int main function. So when we open the int main function, the first lesson is the data types. So data types, we want to start it. As you see here, we put some information in commented, but the things that we would like to discuss in today are also commented. So I remove the slash. You see here, now we defined one integer value named a that is said to have the value 1. But we have one warning. It says that you declared one integer value and you have not used it yet. It's okay, but we are going to use it later. But it is just sending us some warning to consider. So the first data type is the integer. When we want to declare an integer value, one of the ways is to define it as int I, int, and all of them should be lowercase. Equals to 1, and then we have a semicolon there. So we can also have like int. When we used a one time, we cannot say another time a. For example, I cannot reassign a. It says that redefinition of a, so there is an error. I would say a1. So a1 is 2 now. So we declare 2 integer variables. The first data type that we need to learn is the integer. And then we have the type float that is for numbers that are having decimal values. So we define the float b with the value say 3.14, and we need to be careful about the semicolon in the end. Whatever we write in our C++ programming, it must end with a semicolon in a line. So it still gives us some warning saying that it is unused. Again, it's not a problem. We're going to use it. So there are 2 ways to define numbers that are having decimal values. The first one was float, and the second one was double. So we can also declare double when we are having a number with decimal values. And there are some, small differences between float and double that we will discuss later on in the course. However, if you want to just have a clue of the general differences, is that when we declare a number with the float type, it uses usually 4 bytes of memory. And when we declare it as a double, it uses 8 bytes of memory. So what's the difference? So it consumes the memory more. So if we are going to use a number that is larger than a certain amount, it is recommended to use double, so it gets more memory usage. But if we are going to simply
in this video, we learned that we need to use the input function to get some information from the user to show the message to the user and store it, and it is by default stored as a string. If we want to have an integer, we need to convert it to an integer. If we want to have a float, we need to convert it to a float, because by default it's
in the upcoming lectures. But for the moment, that is enough for you to know that there are 2 types, float and double, that you can declare either of them, but there are some differences in terms of the memory usage. And also double can represent a wider range of values compared to float, because it's because of its higher precision and larger memory size. So this is the only thing that we need to know for the moment about it. And then we have characters that we can define, like character, it is with the name char, char, and this is char name. It could be whatever. It could be like my character equals. It should be, you should really be careful about the quotations here. Like whatever you want to put there, you can put, for example, my name, Reza, it's okay, but it should be between these two quotations. If we forget about one quotation, we will have error. If we forget about two quotations, we will have error. So it must be between two quotations and, of course, with a semicolon in the end. And the last one that we would like to discuss is a Boolean type. We declared an ABC named Boolean that could be whatever, like my bool, we could declare equals true. So for the Boolean, there are only two values that can be assigned, either true or false, and that's it. It's either 0 or 1. When it's true, it represents the value 1, and when it's false, it represents the value uh, when it's false, it represents the value 0. For the float number, it's the same. We can declare all the numbers with decimal values, and for the integer, it's only integer values. Sorry, for example, we cannot have an integer declaration for a and then consider having it with decimal values. It gives us some warning saying that you need to use double or maybe float for this and not the type integer. So these are the basics data types that we needed to know in the beginning. Then we learned about how to put comments. You see here now our code, we push the Control S and our code is registered, and these parts are comments. So whatever we put there, like whatever we type there, it's considered as nothing, as it is not even existed. So this is the first way of putting comments, and then we have the second way of putting comments like this between slash star slash. And finally, we learned about different data types that we declared here. In the next lecture, we dive into more details about the data types. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this course. So in previous lecture, we learned how to declare some different data types, like as you see here, integer, float, double, characters, and booleans. In today's lecture, in today's lesson, we would like to print their values. So we declare an integer a1, for example, equals to 2. And we would like to print this integer value and see it in the terminal. Here we prepared something for you. As you remember, everything is commented here in between. Everything is commented. So I uncomment this line. Oh, sorry, I put it more comments. So I commented this line. I uncommented this line. I declare integer a equals 1 semicolon, and it ends. So this is the declaration that we have here. And remember that we had some commented libraries and including things here. So one of them is using namespace std. So let me explain what this std is all about. So here, now I uncomment this line and we will have probably some errors if we want to run it. So if we would like to print something, we would have to write std colon, then cout, means that show us the output. Then we would have these two signs. and then between quotations we would be able to have the comments that we would like to be printed in the terminal. For example, we write it here, the value of A is, and one space is
उससे जो हमारा लोड है वो कम होगा। उसके अलावा आपको टैग नहीं
and then we close the quotation. Then we
यहाँ पे प्रोसेस को फास्ट फॉरवर्ड करता हूँ बिकॉज़ से टाइम
of the integer that we wrote
लाइव पर जाना है और यहाँ पे शेड्यूल स्ट्रीम पे क्लिक करेंगे और यहाँ पे इसका नाम रख देते हैं स्ट्रीम 2। उसके अलावा हम लोग डिस्क्रिप्शन में भी सेम कॉपी पेस्ट कर लेते हैं और उसके अलावा आप लोगों को पता ही है जो कैटेगरी सिलेक्ट करनी है, उसके अलावा थंबनेल लगाना, तो ये चीजें मैंने ऑलरेडी बताई हुई है। ठीक है, इसकी विजिबिलिटी पब्लिक करते हैं और डन पे क्लिक कर देते हैं। अब इस स्ट्रीम के लिए भी हमें एक डिफरेंट की क्रिएट करनी पड़ेगी। तो डिफरेंट की कहाँ से क्रिएट होती है? अगेन आपको डिफॉल्ट की पे क्लिक करना है, क्रिएट न्यू स्ट्रीम की पे क्लिक करना है और यहाँ
here is the result. The value of A is 1. So what was the message that we typed here? So the value of A is, and then instead of this part that we put A, you see the value 1 is printed. So now that we know the value of putting the value of this integer being printed, we would like to mention that using namespace is very good. So now what happens if I remove this std? If I remove this std,
ठीक है, तो अब मैं आपको की डिफरेंस भी चेक करवा देता हूँ। अगर फर्स्ट पे जाएंगे तो इसका की आप लोग देख सकते हो 5gj3। ठीक है, और अगर हम लोग स्ट्रीम 2 के अंदर जाएं तो इसकी जो की है 9jq1। तो ये हमारी जो दो अलग अलग की है, इस पे हम लोग दो अलग अलग स्ट्रीम्स चला सकते हैं। तो इस तरीके से हम लोग दो और की जनरेट कर लेते हैं हमारे दो और ऑब्वियस के लिए। तो फटाफट से कर लेते हैं इसे और इसको मैं थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे प्रोसेस को फास्ट फॉरवर्ड करता हूँ बिकॉज इससे टाइम ज़्यादा वेस्ट नहीं होगा। और आपको मैं मल्टी स्ट्रीमिंग भी टेस्ट करवा दूंगा, वो भी बिना किसी लैग और किसी दिक्कत के। ठीक है, तो हमने यहाँ पे जो 4 की हम लोगों ने बना ली है, तो आप लोग देख सकते हो फर्स्ट की, सेकंड की और यहाँ पे थर्ड की और फोर्थ की। ठीक है, तो हमारी जो कोई भी की है किसी से मैच नहीं कर रही, सबकी जो की अलग अलग है। तो अब हमें इसे जाके ओबीएस के अंदर सेटअप करना है। तो कैसे करना है चलिए दिखाते हैं। सबसे पहले की फर्स्ट को कॉपी करेंगे और किसी फर्स्ट ओबीएस में जाएंगे, यहाँ पे सेटिंग्स के अंदर जाएंगे एंड आउटपुट के अंदर और यहाँ पे यूज स्ट्रीम की एंड अपनी जो स्ट्रीम की पेस्ट करेंगे, अप्लाई करेंगे। अब यहाँ पे हम लोग वीडियो ऐड कर देंगे, जो भी वीडियो की हम लोग स्ट्रीम करना चाहते हैं मीडिया सोर्स के अंदर। इसको पहले लूप इनेबल कर देंगे ताकि वीडियो लूप लेती रहे और अपनी वीडियो सेलेक्ट करेंगे एंड ओके पे क्लिक कर देंगे। तो हमारी जो वीडियो है यहाँ पे आ चुकी है। अब ये लूप के अंदर चलेगी। इसी तरीके से हम लोग बाकी भी सेटअप कर लेंगे। तो चलिए स्ट्रीम 2 के अंदर जाते हैं, स्ट्रीम 2 को कॉपी करते हैं और ओबीएस 2 के अंदर जाते हैं और यहाँ पर फाइल पे क्लिक करते हैं, सेटिंग्स पे जाते हैं।
program. But if we don't mention it in the above, we need to type it every time that we are writing. So this is the first point. The second point is that the syntax for printing is cout. So when we use cout, we are sending the machine that we want to print. And the end L, let me just remove this end L so you will see how the result would be different. In this case, because we have only one printing, the result would not change, you see? Okay, so you see the press return to close this window came to the line 1. Previously, it was in the line 2. So let me print something else.
यहाँ पे लगाएंगे फास्ट फॉरवर्ड से स्ट्रीम्स करने हैं, उतने हमें यहाँ पे ओबीएस ओपन करने पड़ेंगे। तो मैं अगेन ओपन करता हूँ, यस पे क्लिक करता हूँ, उतने भी स्ट्रीम्स करने हैं उतने।
So now what happens is this.